Epic taxi fails when rides go hilariously wrong. Yo, what is up guys, it's your name, and welcome back to the channel for another wild ride. Buckle up because today we're diving into some of the most shocking taxi trips that went terribly wrong. From wild chases to unexpected detours, these stories will leave you on the edge of your seat. We've got it all. Drivers behaving badly, passengers from your nightmares, and enough plot twists to make your head spin. So grab your snacks, get comfy, and prepare to be amazed because things are about to get crazy. And hey, while you're at it, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload. Let's do it. Picture this, you're in a big city trying to get home after a long day, so you hail a taxi. The passenger, we'll call her Sarah, hopped in the back, gave the driver her address, and settled in for the ride. Everything seemed totally normal. Little did she know, things were about to take a wild turn. As the taxi started moving, Sarah noticed the driver was acting a little strange. He was talking fast, his hands were shaking, and he kept looking nervously in the rearview mirror. Suddenly the driver slams his foot on the gas, sending the taxi speeding down the road like a rocket. Sarah is thrown back in her seat, totally caught off guard. She's looking around frantically, trying to figure out what's going on, but the driver isn't saying a word. She reaches for her phone, her hands trembling, and dials emergency services. The operator on the other end answers and Sarah tries to explain what's happening, but it's hard to hear over the roar of the engine. Meanwhile, the taxi is weaving in and out of traffic, dodging cars left and right. The police are on their way. The sound of the siren seems to snap the driver out of whatever trance he was in. He slows the taxi down, pulls over to the side of the road, and puts his hands up in surrender. After giving her statement to the police, Sarah finally gets out of the taxi, her legs shaky from the adrenaline. It was an experience she'll never forget. Okay, get ready for this one because it's a real head-scratcher. A routine taxi ride takes a detour into the Twilight Zone. David, a tired student, hails a taxi after a late-night study session. He gives the driver his address and they set off. But soon, David notices the route is unfamiliar. They're going deeper into unknown parts of the city. He asks the driver, "Is this the right way?" The driver says, "Don't worry, I know a shortcut." David feels vulnerable and discreetly texts his roommate. Suddenly, the taxi screeches to a halt in a dark alley. The driver turns around with a creepy smile, then bursts into laughter. "Gotcha! Just a joke!" David is furious but relieved. He gives the address again. This time, the driver takes him directly to his dorm. David stumbles out, pays the fare, and vows to be more careful. Chapter 3. The Fare Evader. Hold on to your wallets, folks, because this next story is all about greed, deception, and a taxi ride gone wrong. Meet Melissa, a young woman who thinks she's too clever by half. She's got a plan to avoid paying for her taxi ride, but let's just say things don't exactly go as planned. It's a Friday night, and Melissa is dressed to impress. She's on her way to meet friends at a trendy club across town. She's running late, and she's not about to let a little thing like a taxi fare cramp her style. She hails a taxi, hops in, and tells the driver her destination. But here's where her master plan comes into play. Melissa has no intention of actually paying the fare. She figures she'll just make a run for it when they reach her destination. As the taxi approaches the club, Melissa gets ready to make her move. She's feeling pretty smug, congratulating herself on her ingenious plan. The taxi pulls up to the curb and Melissa casually tells the driver, "Wait here, I just need to grab something from my purse." She pretends to be rummaging through her bag, but she's actually waiting for the perfect moment to make her escape. Just when the driver looks away for a split second, Melissa makes her move. She flings open the door, jumps out of the taxi, and makes a run for it. She's sprinting towards the club's entrance, her heart pounding in her chest, a triumphant grin on her face. She's almost there! She can practically taste the victory! But her moment of triumph is short-lived. Unbeknownst to Melissa, the taxi driver has been watching her every move in the rearview mirror. He's not fooled by her little act for a second. He's dealt with fare evaders before, and he's ready for her. Just as Melissa is about to reach the safety of the club, she hears a voice booming behind her. "Not so fast, lady!" She turns around to see the taxi driver, who is surprisingly fast on his feet, hot on her tail. He's not letting her get away with this. Melissa's eyes widen in panic. She can't believe this is happening. Her brilliant plan has backfired. She tries to run faster, but the driver is gaining on her. The club's bouncer, a mountain of a man with arms the size of tree trunks, sees what's going on and steps in to intercept Melissa. He blocks her path, preventing her from escaping into the club. Melissa is trapped. She's caught red-handed and there's nowhere to run. The taxi driver catches up to her, breathing heavily, and demands his fare. Melissa, defeated and humiliated, has no choice but to pay up. She sheepishly hands over the money, her dreams of a free ride dashed to pieces. The taxi driver, victorious, gets back in his taxi and drives away, shaking his head at the audacity of some people. Melissa, meanwhile, is left standing on the curb, her pride bruised, her wallet lighter, and her night out off to a terrible start. Chapter 4, The Stolen Taxi. Get ready for a wild one because this next story is like something straight out of an action movie. We're talking about a taxi hijacking, a desperate struggle for control, and a passenger caught in the crossfire. Our story centers around Miguel, a hard-working taxi driver just trying to make a living. It's a stormy night in the city. Miguel is driving his usual route, hoping for a fare to brave the weather. Suddenly a figure emerges from a dark alleyway, waving frantically for Miguel to stop. The figure is drenched, their face obscured by a hooded jacket. Miguel, being a good Samaritan, pulls over to see if they need help. He unlocks the door and the figure jumps into the back seat, slamming the door behind them. Miguel, sensing the urgency, puts the taxi in gear and speeds off into the storm. A black sedan comes screeching around the corner, its headlights cutting through the rain like lasers. "Step on it!" the figure in the back seat shouts. "They're after me!" Miguel slams his foot on the accelerator, leaving the sedan trailing behind. A high-speed chase ensues, the two vehicles careening through the rain-slicked streets like projectiles. The sedan is hot on their tail, its occupants firing their weapons at the taxi. Miguel swerves and dodges through traffic, desperately trying to outrun the sedan. The figure in the back seat is revealed to be a young woman, clutching a briefcase. Miguel, his adrenaline pumping, knows he has to help this woman. He's not just a taxi driver anymore, he's her only hope. Chapter 5, The Unplanned Stop. Alright folks, this last story is a wild ride from start to finish, full of unexpected twists and turns that'll leave you speechless. Get ready to meet Emily, a woman whose ordinary taxi ride takes a turn for the bizarre. Emily, a freelance writer with a knack for finding herself in strange situations, is on her way to a big meeting. She's dressed to impress, her laptop bag slung over her shoulder, and she's feeling confident. She hails a taxi, settles into the back seat, and tells the driver her destination. As the taxi pulls away from the curb and merges into the bustling city traffic, Emily checks her phone, making sure she hasn't missed any important emails. She's completely engrossed in her digital world, oblivious to the strange events about to unfold. Out of nowhere, the taxi lurches to a stop, throwing Emily forward in her seat. She looks up, startled, wondering what on earth is going on. The driver, his face pale and beads of sweat forming on his forehead, mutters something about engine trouble. Emily, already running late, sighs in frustration. "Great," she thinks to herself, "just what I needed." She watches as the driver gets out of the taxi and pops the hood, hoping it's a quick fix. But as the driver tinkers under the hood, a commotion erupts on the sidewalk nearby. A group of street performers dressed in brightly colored costumes and elaborate makeup has gathered, their music and laughter drawing a crowd. One of the performers, a tall, slender figure on stilts, stumbles and loses their balance. They careen towards the taxi, their stilts crashing into the hood with a deafening bang. Emily jumps in her seat, her heart racing. The driver, startled by the sudden impact, slams the hood shut and turns to face the commotion. The crowd gasps, and the other performers rush to their fallen comrade's aid. The stilt walker, shaken but thankfully unhurt, is helped to their feet. Their stilts, however, are not so lucky. One of them is bent at an awkward angle, rendering them unusable. The ringmaster of the group, a charismatic figure with a booming voice, approaches the taxi driver, their face a mixture of amusement and apology. "Terribly sorry about that, mate. Looks like we owe you a new hood." The taxi driver, initially annoyed, can't help but crack a smile at the absurdity of the situation. He knows it was an accident, and besides, those performers certainly know how to make an entrance. Emily, watching the whole scene unfold from the back seat, can't help but laugh. She may be late for her meeting, but hey, at least she's got a story to tell. As the performers assess the damage to their stilts and the taxi driver examines the dent in his hood, Emily decides to make the most of the unexpected delay. She pulls out her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard, eager to capture the bizarre encounter in writing. After all, she thinks to herself, sometimes the best stories are the ones you least expect. Epic taxi fails. When rides go hilariously wrong, so there you have it folks, 5 epic taxi fails that prove sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. Who knew a simple taxi ride could lead to so much chaos, laughter, and unbelievable moments? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these shocking taxi trip stories, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And hey, if you've got your own crazy taxi story, share it in the comments below. We love hearing from you guys. And remember, always stay alert and safe on your travels. You never know what kind of crazy characters you might encounter out there. Until next time, stay awesome.